think we're gonna get straight into the whole Solomon shit. So in the process of me preparing for this battle, so if you guys want to ask me some questions, make sure it's related to what I'm about to just ask, because that's the only questions I'm gonna really answer right now. So it's really crazy. Let me just start with you guys how the battle with Solomon came along. And I'm going to just talk about a little history between me and Solomon, and then I'm going to get to that exactly. For those of you guys who may know, you know, a lot of us that have been in this game, in this battle shit, have been around for a really long time. Cats like, you know, me, Thesaurus, Solomon, Mook, Lux have been here for like 10 plus years, even 15 years, some of us. Since we were younger, you know what I'm saying, it's been like a really crazy thing. Like Solomon was just always, you know, around the year, like when YouTube first came around, Solomon was one of those first guys that was, you know, he was the guy to beat. And a lot of people, you know, looked at him as the best guy, you know, and it was a really long time coming. But as time, you know, gradually, you know, went by, a lot of battlers had different styles, and people with different styles started popping up. But I remember when I first just like really had my breakthrough onto the scene, people were really more like shocked how fresh my new style was. And a lot of people from the beginning were like, you and Iron would be a crazy battle. But even back then, I don't feel like I was ready to battle Solomon. He was already way developed. And I always knew I could beat everybody in the world. I just needed time to get there and develop my shit. You know what I mean? And as time went by, you know, I just kept on, you know, doing my shit, and he like slowly started fading away and not putting in as much work. So at one point the tables turned, and I became that guy that he was. And it's very crazy because there's almost like that style is needed in the scene. Like, just, I don't know how to explain it. It's not the street style, but it's the style that just attacks everything, and they're just, you know, the freestyles. It's the whole package. You know, when I seen him at Grizzlemania, it definitely was never on some beef shit. I've always respected Solomon, but I didn't show him as much respect as I do now back then, because when you're trying to take someone down, you're not gonna really, if you, like, I've grown to a point where I'm mature in my shit now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't look at rappers as a threat to me. I look at them as sparring partners. But when I was younger, everyone was a threat to me, and I had to wipe them out. And that's why, you know, I've seen Solomon, and I really couldn't be too respectful for him, but it came from a place of respect where I needed to beat this guy. And I just felt like his Enes battle, like I could have fucking gave him a crazy battle. So I was just mad at him for taking that battle, I guess. It's just on the spot. So I dissed him. And then ever since, you know, I think he made a big mistake with the Mook shit, coming back and battling Mook, you know, and, you know, him not, I feel like that set him back really far. So me coming back to battle him, it would have been a perfect opportunity for me to revive my shit. Hold on, give me 1 second. So I felt like it could be a chance for me to, you know, bring Iron shit back, like, to where he was back then. I knew that I was going to be able to put him in that zone where he would bring back that old school version of him, you know what I'm saying? And so I wasn't necessarily aiming for Solomon. I told, you know, I was on the phone with Bishop, and, you know, they started hitting me up for World Dom, and I just felt like I already knew what they were going to come at me with, just a bunch of, like, you know, no disrespect to Ron and Sharon and them, but I just felt like it was just going to be either someone like that, of that caliber, who's nice, but, like, it's just not going to be a legendary battle. And, you know, I was already, like, I don't know if I wanted to do Blackout. I was going to sit it out. So I was just like, I'd battle, like, Lux or Mook or Hollow or something. And I just know that those cats, you know, they're not really in it to entertain people like that. It would be a far-fetched idea to get any one of them. So I was just like, maybe if you got Solomon or somebody. I remember telling Bishop that, like, because we just came to a conclusion where it was just like, I was like, if you give me someone like Solomon, because I was thinking in my head, like, since I seen him in the Daylight battle, I was like, this guy really has the ability to bring the shit back. Like, he's crazy. But I also knew that he was ready for Daylight, so I was worried if he would really be able to come at me the same way. Because I know he wanted the Daylight battle, and the battle with me was kind of forced on him. You know what I'm saying? But he took it. And Bishop hit me back like he agreed. And I'm like, what? So as soon as he told me he agreed, man, it was weird. I went right back into that fucking back in the day grind time state, man. Like, where I just started watching all our old battles. started watching all the shit from Jump Off, his battles, my old battles, started piecing together all those pieces of time, the No Can Do battle, the Enes battle, the interviews in between. I started just getting really just sunk into that mind state. So where first, before starting to get into the battle, I didn't look at Solomon for what he was after the smack shit or for what he is now with the daylight. I looked at him as a long body of work over time. And I looked at myself the same way when I was preparing for it. So I went into it putting myself in that mentality where I'm going to create a fucking legendary matchup between us. You know what I mean? Because it's time. You can't recreate time. Like, we've been doing this for so long. You can't, even if two people are really nice, they're not going to give people that same feeling that Organic got hosting it. The reason why Organic was tripping hosting it, because he's watched this happen for so long. When you watch us on YouTube for so long and then it's finally in front of you happening, it's really some crazy shit. So to get straight into the process, you guys see this like room that I'm sitting in, probably like just, you know, almost like every other room except it's, you know, purple and shit. But if you look at most environments that fucking, shouts out the gully, most environments that battlers write in, this is how battlers write. They got their phone and they're just sitting either watching TV with their girl or their kid, and in between all the shit they're writing bars and then going back to their daily lives, or they might just write their bars in their car while they're driving around. I used to do that. They're in this environment where they're sitting on their phone and so I basically, I went back to the notepad and the pen. And I went to a warehouse, an abandoned warehouse. Well, it wasn't really an abandoned warehouse. It was like a warehouse that my friend was constructing, but it was completely destroyed and they were building it from the ground up. And there was a lot of, you know, weed things going on over there. So, you know, you had your little section where that was happening and then some construction. And in the midst of all this warehouse, fucked up, grimy area where you just walk in and you're just covered in dirt when you're in there, I wrote all my bars for him in the most shittiest environment. I put myself in such a whack environment every day. I'd be sitting there and then I'd get thirsty and I'd be starving, hungry, like trying to eat. But I was writing like these full, like where I'd sit down and I'd just sit in the middle of trash and I won't award myself with food or a fucking shower until like I fucking came up with some fire. You know what I'm saying? And like, straight up, it was the most grimiest type of environment you could imagine, like sitting in shit, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't prepare for this, like sitting in my fucking living room on my phone in such a clean, like nice environment. I went into some fucking, I reversed myself into Young Diz and I really just, that shit was whack. I ruined a lot of my clothes, ruined a lot of my shoes. You know what I'm saying? In this battle shit, like big things like that, it puts like wear and tear on you. You know what I'm saying? That's another thing. You know what I mean? Like, I want to talk to rappers about that later. A lot of battlers, how to like keep yourself healthy while you're preparing for battles and stay in good shape and shit like that. Because you could easily, people don't understand how much this takes away from our shit. You know what I mean? So it's really a tough thing. You know what I mean? So I'm starting out with coming up with shit for Solomon. And the process that I'm coming up with shit for Solomon is basically what I've been doing for a very long time, and I strayed away for it for a little bit, try to do what people asked me to do. It worked a little bit, but it was never me. And so I write big little fucking sections of relevant things about him. I'll pick an angle, and let's say the Iron Man angle. So I started deciding to talk about Iron Man. I had about 3 or 4 different type of Iron Man schemes, but when I came with the Iron Man shit, I memorized them in blocks and I never write. So none of my writing process was like, okay, round 1, let me start. See, like a lot of rappers, they'll start first bar of the round, then second bar. Then when they come up with some new shit, they might just put it in there. There was no pieces for me. So this just started off as random blocks. I collected about it got to the point where I collected about 50 to 60 different blocks. You know what I mean? And then in between these blocks, I would have one-liners, one-liners, and random one-liners, and one-liners, and one-liners that weren't blocks. There were just 2 lines that were just a punchline. So I would take those things, and then when I started structuring my fucking rounds for this battle, I got to a point where about 1 week out, or I think it was like a week and a half out, which is the furthest I've ever structured a round, probably out. I was like a week and a half or maybe even 2 weeks out. Man, I started structuring this first round, and I didn't even know what I wanted to start with, because at first I was just going to start with, you know what rhymes with bar mitzvah? But then I realized that while I was writing my first round, one of the most shocking things that I said was, I'll rape your mother bareback with wearing a Mel Gibson face mask. I felt like for people who understand Mel Gibson being like an anti-Semitic person, that would be extremely a witty, funny thing, but also it's shocking, so I thought maybe I should start with this. I felt like it was such a powerful line, instead of starting with, you know what rhymes with bar mitzvah, swastika, and actually I had a continuation of it. It was like, you know what rhymes with bar mitzvah? I go swastika. You know what rhymes with Hanukkah and Yom Kippur? Adolf Hitler, like, which are both 2 Jewish holidays. So, but I kind of scratched that out, and I was trying to like, kind of just, you know, filter it out and make the best time I could. So I would trim out fat from like pretty much some of my powerful things, like what I just said. You know what I'm saying? I know it's racist, but it's funny racist. It's not coming from a hatred place. It's just like stand-up comedians, man. It's no different. Except we're more witty and creative. You know, so I'm structuring this first round. So what happened was I actually really structured a fucking first round. The only part of my first round that wasn't structured was way towards the end when I started, when I told them you'd probably rap about math for 3 rounds. If you throw hands with me now, it would be like a Shazam app. You'll quickly catch a beat down. That was not structured. So up until that, from my opening bar to the beatdown bar, which was like almost the last bar of the whole verse, was all structured. I left no room really to freestyle in that, or I just left that little part open at the end, and I didn't want to go over my time and disrespect Solomon, because I don't know what time I was at. I don't know where I was. It was not timed for me in my head. So then I did that. So that was my first round. You guys are stupid. So that's my first round. So my first round was kind of a structured round, and now we go on to my second round. My second round starts at the Allen Iverson part. So everything before that just I never get shaky. Everything before that was basically just left open so I could do something on the spot, which I did the whole thank you for you to mention. I think it's great for you to reference. Are you sure it's not too expensive being a Jew? That's kind of a huge investment for putting your 2 cents in. And that was obviously a pre-rebuttal. It wasn't on the spot. I had it ready and I had it open. I had a bunch of thoughts to rebuttal and whatever I would go into if I wanted to just, you know, reference to something that he just mentioned to me. I knew he would mention something like the math thing, but it wasn't necessarily what I was going to use. If he would have mentioned the Cassidy thing, I would have said, oh, the Cassidy thing, that's great for you to mention. Thank you for putting your 2 cents in. It was an interchangeable to whatever he might say to me. Thank you for putting your 2 cents in. You know what I'm saying? So then the rest of that round about, you know, of course, he's like Allen Iverson. He fucked up most of his chances because he could have been the GOAT. That's the difference between the Kobe's, Jordans, and Magics. The ones that stayed in the game gave you more and more classics, and the ones that eventually fell off because they always thought they were too good to show up to court for their practice. That whole thing obviously was weaved and tailored for Solomon, and it was obviously a way I felt about him not carrying on, and which leads into the, you know, I hope you're soaking all this in. You know I normally charge for this. The whole where's your heart of Spartacus, your I am Sparta shit. It was kind of coming from a fucking angle like you lost your confidence after your fucking Mook battle, you know what I mean? Most of the things in the battle that I did were just metaphoric comparisons to things that were in real life. I don't really like bringing up, like, you know how people will be like, I'll be where your chick be, and they'll bring up like lines that have nothing to do with shit. Like, I don't really like doing that in battles, even if it's a dope punchline. If it really has nothing to do with the guy, it's kind of like you don't really get points for that. So everything I try to keep very relevant to who he was, And of course, I brought up the one ball thing, but I think that was in the third round. So the one ball thing about him having one ball, that was supposed to be in the second round. I just didn't. So my second round was like, so this is what happened with the second round. The beginning was empty, the middle was all structured, and the ending was empty. So I left. In my second round, I structured the whole inside of this second round. In the outer parts, the intros and the outros basically were left with question marks. Like, whatever happens, happens. But at the same time, I have all these things. Like, so when I imagine my second round, after the first round goes, all those lyrics are gone. The way I imagine my second round is the lyrics that I have structured in my head, the opening parts, and then I imagine a bunch of other paragraphs floating around them that I could just grab out of the air and just put them together like fucking like Tetris blocks or some shit. My voice echoing, god damn it. Here, let me try to get a little closer. Maybe it's my room. So yeah, so I try to take these paragraphs and I put them together like fucking pretty much doing some Tetris shit. And that was my second round. My second round was pretty much, I think, the round that I lost. I don't know, a lot of people love that second round because then again, I had in my second round the whole thing about the Holocaust. See, again, and this is what I wanted to make a point, when I do jokes that people try to say are stereotypical, they're not. They're absolutely not. When I do something, it's because of a relevant situation. It's a relevant thing that you can't afford how much Holocaust, you know what I mean? Like, it's it just happened that you're Jewish, you know what I'm saying? So that's how that works, you know what I mean? You gotta always make sure that whatever you're saying. So I had too much of that crazy shit in my second round, but his second round was unbelievable. It forced me to remix my whole third on the spot. So I never really had a third, but I went into it thinking I have so many things for this third round that I'll just whip up a third round on the spot. I had about 3 or 4 different versions of a third round that I was gonna do. And, you know, I knew I was gonna end it with the Hitler shit if it fucking worked. I just wanted it to be some funny shit. Like, I just start shouting out, like, Jewish actor names as Hitler. I thought that would be fucking hilarious. So, but let's before I get to that. So my second round. So after hearing his second round, this is what happened in my brain. I'm just trying to explain to you guys because all this was happening during the battle and I'm trying to remember as much as I can because of the adrenaline. What happened was, like I told you guys, I see paragraphs floating. So my third had all the paragraphs floating around it that were left that I didn't use in anything that I ever wrote. So when I went into my third round, everything I pretty much ever wrote for him or any like bar that I haven't used was just floating around my head. But his second round was so powerful that it was just like watching like a computer screen. I like erased half of those paragraphs, like fell away, and it just became the extremely important, vital ones to use. Like, I literally, in matter of seconds of hearing his fucking second round, I shaved off, like, all those paragraphs dissipated. I'm like, I'm not using this, it all just went away. I'm not using any of this shit. And then it became, these are just the last components that I could use to hold up. And, you know, that's when I started spazzing going into the other shit. And, you know, the adrenaline was fucking me over right there because I'm going to be honest with you, I was really excited. Because I just felt so powered up and I had so much shit on my mind. It just was all going to burst out of me and I was trying to control it. It was like trying to leave. How did there's no way I would have choked, Big Mike. Honestly, I don't think it wouldn't have been possible in that situation. Like, even I was stuttering over shit and I even like fucked up a line, but you saw how I was and I would come back with there was no way I was going to choke. It was like motherfuckers who are on like crazy amounts of medication to focus, except I was just sober as hell. And, you know, I'm just, when I'm ready, I'm ready. That's just how I am. I have a crazy retention, like, ability. I can memorize lots of amounts of information. That's my shit. So that third round, so when I got to that third round, man, I was like, oh, man. I'm trying to remember what I used and what I didn't use, because also I really worry about with the style that I use, like I always worry about saying the same thing twice. So I'm like thinking like, did I use that in the first round? because there's a bunch of shit that I didn't. I'm about to spit some bars that you didn't hear in the battle that were an attachment to my Eric Gardner line. So the beginning line, I just chopped off half the Eric Gardner shit, but this is how it started. The Eric Gardner line was, I was telling him, I was like, man, you're whiter than processed bread. I'm telling him all these things that he's whiter than. You bobblehead, you fucking whiter than processed bread, whiter than the writers at Charlotte's Web. You're such a white privileged guy. If you were there in New York the time they choked Eric Gardner to death, you would have probably said, no, everyone stop it, get off his head. And you would have jumped in and rescued one of the cops instead. And then I was about to go into the other thing, you know, rest in peace Eric Gardner, for real. Like I didn't mean to say it in a, like a you know, an offensive way. It was a point that I was trying to make, and then I went into the, you know, you're a clown, and you know what I mean, you're one of those guys, and then I was gonna do the whole die from arm squeezing, you know what I'm saying, rest in peace again. But yeah, that was a really crazy bar. Yeah, so I shaved that whole part off, and I just, you know, like that happens a lot where I just feel like right on the spot I'm just gonna have to take out a whole piece of it just so I could make time, because, you know, I love Organic, but me and Organic have always had this thing with the time, man. And like, even before this battle, you should have heard the phone call between me and Organic. It was like, what's up, man? What's up, man? Like, so what's going on with this time shit? It's like, bro, it's like, it's a serious thing, you know? And like, I don't want to like fucking flip out on fools during the battle. I pushed him and Lush last time, and, you know, I love Organic, man. I don't want to, you know, to diss him by accident in a battle, but, you know, when I'm raging like that and people are trying to cut me off, man, everyone's gonna get it. It's just how it is. I'm not about to look bad. This shit's about to be on the YouTube for like fucking 20 years. People go watch this forever. You guys go home and sleep. You gotta see my bars cut off for the rest of your life. Fuck that. I'm gonna turn you guys into a bar. But yeah. So that's a real thing with me for the time limits. I've been trying to adjust to that for a while. When I battle certain people, they're really like terrified of the time limit thing with me, so they try to keep me on very low time limits. Two people that successfully succeeded with that were Cortez and Aver. When we battled, they were like, no, like 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Like they were doing this crazy shit to me, which is smart because, you know, I'm a build-up rapper. I need to give you substance. I rap for a while. I don't like coming with back-to-back punchlines. I think Conceited is an incredible pioneer, but that back-to-back punchline shit is not rapping to me, and I don't like it. Like, it's just too formulaic and too, you know, it's fucking robotic, and just, I'm not feeling that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I try to rap for people and just, you know, and, you know, I'm drinking Marv One's blood. You guys are crazy. So that's the way you compose yourself versus Iron, and how should everyone? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I really respect Iron. I've reached a level in my writing too where I'm very confident. So like if I'm in front of somebody, like it's hard for them to impress me, and if they do, that's good. Like I respect it, and too much sodium, and I respect it. You know what I mean? Like Solomon had some crazy shit for me. The Halloween costume shit he said to me was fucking fire. So, you know, I don't know. You know, if you watch Dragon Ball Z, I'm just like Goku, man. I get excited when people are strong. I don't worry. Yes, I lost the pH. It has also had to do with time too, by the way. You seen how that's another thing that goes with what we were saying. Fucking Lush and Plex destroyed my round, ruined my whole round. But yeah, so I try to do my own shit. No, I didn't lose to Cassidy, man. How could I lose to Cassidy when I got to battle Cassidy and my career fucking took off after it? Did the outcome come out like I wanted to? Of course not. Do I wish it never happened? Of course I love that it happened. It's an incredible thing that it happened. I should have fucking flipped out on him way harder. But you know what? It's a clash of styles anyways, and he don't really do what we do. It's like he does some other shit, so it's okay. Like, you know what I mean? It don't really affect me. He's in a different world. You know what I mean? So, love the Cassidy battle, to be honest with you. I just watched it the other day. I like my first round a lot. I always watch it. So yeah, let's see who 103 visitors, 103. Shouts out to the homies. Ooh. Battle locksmith again, nope. Oh man, you guys are freezing again. The floppy disk line, oh yeah, that shit was crazy. Man, the whole Sega Genesis card, the Garcia Vega shit, people don't even understand how over their heads that shit was. The outdated wraps next to your Garcia Vega cigar papers, the God Save Them like Bart's Neighbors and all this shit. It was a masterpiece. I think it was pretty retarded writing. The fact that people can't even comprehend it is a testament to how crazy that shit was. For real. No, I would not want to battle Crooked Eye, man. It's the big homie. I have no reason to, bruv. No, not it. Oh. So, you know, now let me continue. I kind of like got sidetracked over there with you guys' questions. So about the Solomon shit, you know, preparing for the Solomon battle too, like it was really crazy because watching what he did to Jin, it was really hard for me to predict what he would do against me. Because, as you know, we are kind of polar opposites in a sense because I'm watching his Jin battle and he doesn't say one Asian joke. And like, yes, I love doing Asian jokes, man. Like, it's fucking fun as fuck. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm watching this shit. He fucking rips Jin with no Asian jokes. Does all wordplay. And I'm thinking, why is he doing this? I'm thinking, okay, either he's trying to take away Jin's ability, which, you know, as a rapper, I'm able to see through his formula what Jin's real ability was that propelled his career was his defense mechanism towards being Chinese. It was always, check these shoes, probably say made in China, fucking I was in the crib with my dumplings in your girl's mouth. It was always dumbfounded with, Jin would Jin would always use his thing. He would always use his race as his defense mechanism, you know what I'm saying? So I felt like Solomon was trying to strip that from him. So I didn't understand preparing for Solomon if he was going to go Arab on me or he was going to do the whole, oh, you're the guy that's going to talk about Jews and I'm a good person, I'm not going to do that. So it was really hard to gauge what Solomon was going to do. I'm just, you know, it was just like writing for him was just like, all right. There were so many things that happened between us, like little personal things that I thought he would bring up that he could have clowned on. And he just didn't bring them up, but he brought up other shit. So it was like so crazy dealing with Solomon as a writer. He's a very, I don't want to say abstract, but he's like a unique type of like, just it's so different, like a different dimensional way of thinking. Like it was hard to pinpoint, but I'll tell you what, I predicted some of the exact shit he was gonna do. But then there was other shit. Like I didn't say this in the battle, but I swear on everything, and I have this fucking written somewhere too. I had a whole line talking about, but the reason why I didn't do it is because I used the whole overdramatic HBO show reenactment. Bro, you're a faggot. When I did that shit, I did that instead because it was almost saying the same thing twice. Like where I was doing the I like, oh yeah, the whole, I knew he was gonna do the Diz flips. I was like, I bet he'll come with some Diz shit. Like if Diz respected, then he's at a disadvantage. But if Diz respects and be, I had a whole thing when it was like disrespective and disconnected from a distant planet, and I was like, no, you won't, you little faggot. Like I had a whole thing, and he kind of did some like Diz flips like that. It would have been funny if I fucking actually used that, but I didn't. And that goes to show you sometimes you don't use the lines. Like that was one of the floating paragraphs, the whole your Diz flips, because I knew he was gonna do that from the fucking Jin shit. Me studying the Jin shit, realizing he didn't use no race jokes against Jin, but yet he did the origin of the genitalia and the Jin shots at Jin and oxygen. I was like, he has to do the disconnected, disrespected, dramatic, or you know what I mean? Like I knew he was gonna do that. Like, and it's crazy. It was an incredible battle, man. I can't describe to you what it felt being in that battle. Disfigured. I didn't think of that one, but yeah. No more socks today, bruv. I need to re-up on my sock pantry. And then I'm disappointed. Dishonored. No, I need to re-up on the socks. I'm going to do another tour for you guys soon. Yeah, pretty. How's that dude coming along, Brian? And this, you know what this is I got in my hand? I can't show you what the other side says. But this right here, you know what this is right here, doggy? Woo! Can't see that, dog? This right here gonna be real crazy. So yeah, it's a couple of more months, people, and shit's gonna be crazy out here, man. Just want to say thank you for everybody that supports battle rap and it's helping it grow, because we wouldn't be able to do this shit without you. And there are, you know, whoever thinks that battle rap might not be growing or whatever the case is, no, things are happening. Opportunities are being created, moves are being made, and it's because of this growing culture and the people that support it. And we need more people to give the battlers motivation, less of the poisonous shit and the fucking the negative energy that's out there, and more people like Heavy Bags and ARP that, you know, that actually, you know, point out when people are doing good things, and they support and they motivate rappers to do good, and they spread positive energy, because that's what it's about, man. And this is kind of like, at the end of the day, what I was gonna talk about, like towards the end of this whole thing with the, you know, I wanted to really address, like, you know, just the battle scene and how, like, there's a lot of disconnection. We're disconnected because of leagues that, you know, have issues with each other, or whatever it is, the fans, it's creating a rift between them. And I just feel like there's a lot of negative energy and tension behind the scenes that is stopping our scene from actually growing more, people blocking people for battles, and, you know, a lot of crazy shit is happening. So I want to say that I think when people are positive and they show that they're there for the love, people like ARP and cats like that, they should be like rewarded, and they should be, you know, and somehow shown back that love. And I feel like, you know, we could say, oh, shouts out to what's his name all we want, but I think there should be like real, I think other people should see real results from this, so they understand what positive energy does. And that was pretty much the surprise thing I was keeping for ARP and the people at the end of this, is because ARP has been such a real dude like that. I have him for a free battle whenever he wants to set up a battle. You know, of course, I'm gonna, you know, I have to live a little bit, so I'm gonna require a small little fee that's not gonna be like a battle fee, whatever it is. It's gonna basically be me doing a free battle, you know what I mean? Just whatever it is, just to eat and just be taken care of. But I'm doing that for him, you know, and I know he wants to expand RBE and do like a crazy, you know, and we talked about also doing something out here too, and as soon as I talked to ARP, because I've talked to him once about doing an event out here, and the first thing he said, I want to do it in collaboration with King of the Dot, and I want to work. He did not think of himself like how anybody else would, but he just wanted to create, and that's the reason why, because of that, I'm not going to charge what I charge for battles, which I'm starting to charge a lot more than I used to, obviously, because I feel like I'm bringing that. But because of that, this is what that gets you. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I got you for, you know, whenever you want to make a classic, you know, you can hit up Official. That shit's open if you want to try to set that up. I told Official I'm down to do it. That would be a good way to make it happen. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to say, man. Continue the positive energy in this shit. And, you know what I mean? I'm here for the love. This is why I do this shit. And when I see people really sacrificing for that, that's when I'm down to make a sacrifice too. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, it's a one-time thing right now. So capitalize off it. No, for real though. You guys already know, you know, I want to make sure that the people that do show the fucking most love are taken care of. I know I haven't been answering any of the questions because I just want to get all this shit off my mind. And I think a lot of people should take notes, always think about, you know, you know, King of the Dot is good at this. You know, they want to help and they want to expand. They don't try to compete with people. I think whatever leagues, people should just take this, is what I'm trying to say. It's not about you guys. It's about the rappers being comfortable and the battlers and you guys all together doing it as a family. Because if it's going to split up like this, there's no way it's going to blow up. It's going to only blow up with the power of everyone together. When you think about how strong everyone is collectively, we have the ability to feed each other, all of us. You know what I'm saying? So as cliche as this sounds, like I'm trying to bring world peace, this is really my main goal, and it's always been my main goal. The the dissing, when I diss Smack or if I diss the East Coast or whatever it is, that's for the WWF part of this. You know what I'm saying? Don't ever get it twisted. As far as the East Coast goes, we grew up on East Coast rap. We grew up on New York shit. You know what I'm saying? We'll always have the utmost respect. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, when it comes to this challenge shit, we go hard on whoever the fuck it is, no matter where you're from. It don't fucking matter, you know what I'm saying? And that's why, at the end of the day, outside of it, it needs to be all love, you know what I mean? And that's the moral of today, guys.